Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports for yet another live. And we are back talking about the Ashes because it's the second test which will start from tomorrow and it's going to be taking place in the Lord's Cricket Ground. So, of course, it's an historic match. To add to that, Ashes, Australia 1-0 up in the series. And to add to that, all the spice and talks happening outside the cricketing field as well, with Ollie Robinson getting involved and whatnot. Australian legends not being very happy about what's been happening across. So it's not been the most idealistic time for things happening outside cricket. But other than that, if you are a fan watching it, you've got all the additional things what you want to spice up for a match like this. I have Antariksh with me. Antariksh, man, what a way for the second test to actually begin now. A lot of things are now heated. This is back to 2005 once again.
Absolutely. Since the beginning of this series, we've been making comparisons to 2005 and how it's a real proper Ashes. Uh, after that, and just the the pre-match antics just add fuel to the fire that we've been seeing out, and it's just classic. It's just classic Ashes, how it is unfolding in terms of the off-pitch rivalry and the on-pitch antics. The first game, how it went down to the wire, almost till the last
Yeah.
ball or the last session, as you would say.
Yeah.
So everything's just playing a part. The talks about pitch, the other teams, team selection, particular team players. Everything
Yeah.
is going on into the mix, and it just adds much more, entertainment. We as spectators can fill up our popcorn tubs for the next 5 days,
Yeah.
starting tomorrow, and then we'd be ready for another Lord's Classic.
Absolutely. Let's start out with the whole thing which has been happening across. Let's start out with the Ollie Robinson topic because before we get further into cricket, I think let's deal with the things outside cricket first off. But yeah, Michael Clark has come out, Matthew Hayden has come out saying that Ollie Robinson should keep quiet because he just balls 125-kilometer pies. And then Michael Clark is very clear on saying that he wouldn't even make it to the English Test playing 11 if Archer or Wood was fit. But the English team is very clear as well as to how confident they are going into this match. That's where Travis had made a statement saying that we're not going to lodge to have the best lunch in the country. We're going out there to win the match of cricket. So it is very, very interesting because English team in the recent past and really faced a lot of defeats. There have been any format, the world champions in ODI, champions in T20 format, and even if you talk about Test format, 12 matches out there, they've only lost a couple of them in the recent past. So you have to say they've not really tasted a lot of defeat, and especially at home. Now you're losing to your arch rivals at home, going 1-0 down in the series. These things really, really matter to them at this point of stage.
They do. And as you said, there have been punches thrown from the Australian side, but I believe I compared this Robinson to Australia's Scott Boland. They
Yeah,
have a similar profile. Their
yeah,
place in the team is quite similar as well, wherein both the teams have two or three legendary fast bowlers who are sort of irreplaceable in the starting 11, and then there is the fourth place which sort of keeps floating in and around. And I
yeah,
think Ollie Robinson, it's a bit harsh on Robinson. I think Anderson is obviously Anderson, but Robinson
yeah.
has been phenomenal. Robinson, even with the bat, he has contributed a bit here and there, and England we've seen they give good emphasis on almost everyone should bat, and like batting is obviously secondary, but that just adds to the point. And I just feel even against India, I remember when we toured them, I think he was the main menace. I think he troubled us the most. There. I think the cricketers, the past cricketers, are seeing it in a very sort of aggressive term, wherein this lad only bowls 130, 125, 135. That's what Stark bowls 150. But we've seen
Yeah.
Stark getting hit around the park and
Yeah.
Robinson being unplayable sometimes. So
And you don't
that's
need
the
to ball
test
150 in English conditions. You just need to ball the correct line and length, and you can just pitch
exactly.
it in the right areas, and you can get a lot of wickets. For example, James Anderson, who's picked up 686 wickets, is not the
He's not the
fastest bowler in the
fastest.
world.
Yeah, he's not the fastest at all, especially at this stage in his career. So absolutely, I agree with you there. I think he's just that kind of a bowler. He gets very fired up. Be it a tail ender, be it an opener, his celebration remains the same. He's a very sort of we call them passion merchants.
Yeah,
So he's one of them. So obviously, when the other side comes in, they obviously sort of hate these characters in their opposing
Yeah.
team. But again, man, it adds fuel to the fire and just love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where this test match is going to be very much more interesting. So England team has named their playing 11 to start off with. So let's look at that before we talk about the match in particular. The biggest news is Moeen Ali, who was a very good performer in the first match with the ball, is left out, which means Josh Tongue will be making his debut in test match cricket because he's a fast bowler. So there's not really a spinner for the English team for this match. And Josh Tongue is going to be a very important factor to this 25-year-old bowler. He's been very impressive in the county setup. He's played some. He's got some experience now playing in the county setup as well. He plays for Worcestershire. I think that's how it's pronounced. And also remember, is one of the best spells came up in this season where he did trouble a lot of players from the Surrey franchise, where a lot of the big players play as well. Even against Sussex, he had a good game. So that's where he's been part of the English Lions squad as well. For a lot of people who don't know who Josh Tongue is, balls pretty quick, balls at good 130, 135, to 140 as well at times. Antariksh, how big a call is that? Because Lords agreed, not a lot there for the spinners.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to also understand what is there on offer, which is Moeen Ali against Australian left-handers, which was a good battle to watch in the last match.
I agree, and I think that just that's maybe sends a signal. Maybe it could be a good sign for Australia. Not that they're going to drop line or anything, but gives a sort of a premonition about how the pitch is going to be. The fact that they've gone with the fifth seamer as Ben Stokes and no spinners at all, that just tells a lot about what the conditions are going to be and what they expect it to be. I remember,
Yeah,
when I can't remember the year, but I remember India had Murli Vijay as their opener, and we played in
yeah,
Lords, and
yeah,
it was like our school's playground. It was that green. There
yeah.
was just grass on the
When
pitch.
Rahane scored the 100 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Rane scored 100 exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean, I sort of expect a pitch like that maybe because of the way they've gone with their team selection. So
yeah,
that is that. But as you said, Josh Tongue, I for one believed Moeen Ali, although he did get the wickets, but I think he was overused. I think he was just. Uh, it's just a personal opinion because at a time, obviously the other guys weren't getting the wickets here and there, and there were 30 runs or one wicket or 40 runs and no wicket. But on the other hand, Moeen Ali was 110 runs with two
yeah,
wickets. So I don't know if that serves the purpose or not because Khwaja was just smacking him around. Of course, he
yeah.
got a couple of wickets, 3 wickets here and there, but I think he was smashed for quite a few
Hmm.
runs, and
Yeah,
it at the end I don't think it really tallied on to be a sort of a good,
absolutely.
a
Yeah,
handsome.
I think it's good time to bring up that pitch, which is on offer for tomorrow as well. It
Oh
looks like
yeah, there you go.
it's pretty much green. It looks like Wimbledon tomorrow, which is going to be played in
Exactly.
Lord's match more than what's going to be there in a cricket match. But yeah, with that slope as well, I think spinners might not be in the play, except if you're really going to
Mhm.
give Nathan Lyon that role of maybe he can come into play. Of course, Nathan Lyon, the pitch doesn't really matter to him. He uses the drift, the conditions a lot better. Maybe it's not a bad ploy to bring in someone like a Josh
Yeah.
Tong. And also here is a very interesting thing with Junaid has mentioned, whether is it going to really uplift both the teams to come out there all guns blazing because the battle lines are already drawn, the
Yeah.
comments are already passed. Now with an extra pacer also in the lineup, they would want to go all out. They brought in the quickest of the ballers to really take them on. To just send out a message saying that no, we're not going to back down. We're going to come all out at you.
Absolutely, and as I think Junaid mentioned, absolutely spot on that. These things bring out the aggressive side, and 4 Test matches still remaining. Lords is the next game, second game. The series has begun beautifully, and it's just a must win or a very important game for the home side. Of course, for Australia as well, but the home side trailing, it just flares up them that extra bit and. On that spinner discussion, we've also seen England, be very decently reliant on Joe Root as well. So if the
Yeah.
pitch does indeed have something to offer, I think they have more than an enough option to, get 10, 12, 15 overs here and there to test out the conditions. So which is pretty, I mean, that just sums up what England cricket is all about. They're just
Yeah.
about versatility. We see
Yeah.
in football, the front three keep changing left, right, wing,
Yeah,
center, striker, and stuff like
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
think that is England cricket team in motion.
Hmm.
They're like everyone can do everything, and it's just their way of playing, and it's working for them. Of course, not in this series till now, but
Yeah.
the larger context. So of course, who
True.
Prathamesh asks Makudia. I think he has some
He's got an injury, is what we can gather at
niggle
this
here and
point.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, because he is still not 100% fit, is what we could really get. But yeah, he's been bowling in the nets, but not definitely right up there. Maybe not a test match fit as such, because it's a long series. Remember, there's a World Cup to be played later on this
Yeah.
year as
How
well.
long is
The schedule,
how long is Archer out of it? Like
well, that only Archer and Mumbai Indians know at this point of stage more than not even
it's
English
same
cricket
with
board,
Bumrah.
in my opinion. Yeah, so only Mumbai Indians know the fitness status of both Bumrah and Archer at this point. It's a mystery. It's a mystery for both of these fast bowlers who they bought in the auction last year. But nonetheless, Rutvik also asks how to be a cricket analyst. So yeah, Rutvik, we do courses of cricket analytics. You can check it out. The link is there in the description, and also there's some interesting videos on our channel as well as to how you should be taking baby steps into this big field. Because remember, your dreams and aspirations can be set apart. You can be set a footing with Mad About Sports. So do check that out if you are really an aspiring cricket analyst. And also, Career Council asked us a very interesting question: who are the players to watch out for? Will Stark play the Test match? What do you reckon? Can Stark be brought in? Now, considering they have won this match, they wouldn't really want to make a lot of changes. They won two matches with the same 11, so they wouldn't, not same 11, maybe bring in Josh Hazelwood there, but two matches with almost the same combination of players. And Stark was looking like the player who was not really up there in that World Test Championship final. And come Hazelwood, he's still getting into the groove. Remember, he has had a long layoff, so he's still getting into the groove. Bolland has been bowling decently well. Patrick Cummins has been the pick of the bowlers. Would you want to play Stark anywhere there?
um, I think Boland has to play. The other two would play as well, and then dropping Hazelwood just after you've picked him and you've won the game doesn't really, I'm pretty skeptical about it. I don't think so.
Yeah,
The only actual, it's the teams are so dynamic now these days because
yeah,
even the slightest bit matters. I actually think it may be crazy to think, but I don't
yeah,
know. Maybe Stark's batting could help him. We've seen Stark, maybe a bit. I mean, he's a lot better than what
yeah,
Hazelwood is. So I
yeah.
don't know, man. There's a tickle in me, something that just tells me because of the way the England team is set up and how deep they bat. I think Australia need to have that perfect balance of great attacking, aggressive lineup in terms of bowling.
Maybe how about just putting Stark in for Hazelwood just to switch around a little bit? I
Exactly.
know
That's what I'm saying.
England will not be anticipating it, but at the end of the day, it's an angle which creates a confusion. Remember, Joe Root has had his struggles against Mitchell
Yeah.
Stark. If you look over the years, with the ball coming in, even Ben Stokes for the matter, even for Bears too, they've all struggled against left arm
Yeah.
seamers where the ball comes in, and there's not a bad opportunity to try him in. And if with that pitch which you have seen already on the screen, I'll just put the pitch once again. It looks lush green, and with that slope there, which will possibly angle Stark's ball into the right-handers. I think that's not a bad idea at all. With that extra pace as well, maybe to run through the tail, which is slightly bothersome for them in the last
Yeah.
match. Not a bad idea, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's the little 1920s here and there. There's not much to separate them, but I think, malab, it's very possible. It's I think Stark, Hazelwood, it could go either way. And as you're saying, you don't really want to discover Stark in his beast mode into the fourth test or the fifth test. You really want him to get up to speed, maybe in the second, third test, and see how he's feeling in this Ashes. And as you said, this pitch just looks delicious for a bowler. But so would say Hazelwood, because these kind of pitches, the way he just floats the ball up in the air when he bowls them, I think it might also be the perfect pitch for him. So it's just there to be seen, man. A lot of small niggles go here and there,
Yeah.
but anyways, I mean, either of them could win you the match on their day. So
Yeah, Prathamesh, I was actually very surprised in the last match. There was an overrate issue, firstly, to start off with, because two of the sessions were washed out because of rain, and
yeah,
spinners did ball a lot of overs as well, with Moeen Ali, Joe Root, and Nathan Lyon balling a lot of overs. Despite of that, or in spite of that, there was an overrate issue, and now going into Lord's Test match, there's only going to be one spinner from both the sides, which is a predominant Nathan Lyon. It's going to be majorly fast bowlers who's going to ball. There's going to be a lot more breaks. So I think it's going to only increase now compared to what it was in the last match. And Kushagra also asked a
What's the
question.
penalty? What's the
I
penalty?
think the point will be deducted from your WTC championship if it
Oh,
continues.
right.
So, which is not a good
They're
thing.
getting creative now. They're getting creative, which is nice, with these
If you
overrates.
remember, in 2021, WTC Australia did not make it to the final because of the same reason.
Yeah,
Because they
exactly.
lost overrate in the Sydney Test match against India, which India went on to save. So there was an issue there. But other than that, I think it's a very interesting one because of which teams are getting affected in the WTC standings,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. Prathamesh also has lower rate in England. Every time last year, same problem India. Yeah, it is. They are monitoring it even more with a bigger scrutiny because of the WTC points table being affected, or else you will see this getting away time and time again. But I don't really blame. At least in test matches, you will see this happen more often than not
Yeah.
because of the excessive amount of overs balled by fast bowlers. What do you think about Kushagra's question here? Root versus Smith, who will score more this time? Smith, not up to the mark, did not really start out well. Root, on the other hand, has been playing like he's playing on one of those games. He's playing with those controllers out there, getting out there, scoring runs for fun. Scored close to 20 hundreds at home, which is a crazy stat in itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as you rightly, mentioned him as a home track bully the other day, so we could see the bully in action again. But Smith. But what can we say about Smith? I mean, one day you could, you won't dare to criticize him because the other day he'd smack up 100 in your face, and so there's not much to be said about Smith, man. You know, he's a champion batsman. He would come back. Whether he'd get more of the route, that's there to be seen. Only you could do a coin, a coin toss about it. I beg your pardon. So I just feel Root is just in a rich vein of form. And I don't know, man. When this pass ball thing came in, I was really skeptical about Root. Like, how is he gonna adapt? And he's just playing the shots like any sort of those cricket coaches would tell you to, but he's doing it at a much faster pace. I remember his cover drive after he tried to reverse flick it or whatever, switch hit it, and just 2 balls later, the way he just pedaled it forward, it was just so elegant. So he's just the player he is, and there's like glass filled in him. Go on.
Yeah. But for Australia, they'll be pretty pleased with the fact that without Marnus and Smith not coming to action
Yeah,
completely, Australia has gone on to win a match. Now, if Travis Head, Steve Smith, and Marnus, and also Cam Green are into that list comes into party, that makes them even more potent for their matter. Khawaja did what he could do in the first match, where he scored 100 and he batted beautifully in the second innings as well. Now the onus is shifted to David Warner, for the matter, who's been having a horrible record in England. I mean, I don't know what it is. It looks like a mental block at this point. It says that the moment he sees Broad running up, he just leaves it up there. He's like, I have no idea how to face him. He tries his
yeah.
best. He tries to get in, then he messes it up. I mean, Broad just finds ways to get him out time and time again. It's like the proper definition of a bunny or a monkey which is on his back.
Absolutely. I remember the Ashwin and Alistair Cook thing. None of our bowlers seemed to even touch Alistair Cook anyway. But there was Ashwin who used to bowl a couple of overs and he used to get Cook out. So it's sort of that. It's just the angle sometimes. These left-handed batsmen need to face against these right-handed bowlers, be it spin or pace. So and Stuart Broad, come on. I mean, he's one of the best to ever grace the game, to ever
Yeah,
bowl in the
yeah,
test match arena. So he's there. That is that. And also David Warner, to be honest, hasn't really been anywhere near what is demanded of him, what should be demanded of him in the past couple of years. I mean,
yeah,
many people questioning whether he should have retired a bit
yeah,
earlier here and there. So
yeah,
that's these things are never the great, never a good sign to
yeah.
actually flunk around a batsman. So that's that. But Warner, let's see. I wanted to mention the fact that Marnus Labuschagne as well as Steve Smith sort of got out for cheap in the previous game, but these three batsmen, Head, Cam Green, and Kerry, I think they are a find for Australia because I really wish we have something like that for India in the limited
Yeah.
overs as well as Test match cricket because it's almost like these three are sort of semi-aggressive-ish batsmen there, and they play their shots. They also can hold a fort if you want them to, and at least one of them get runs. At least one of them score your 60s and 70s with just push your sort of score to the
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a 200, they push it to 300. It's a
Mm. Mm.
250, 280, they push it to 350, 400.
Absolutely.
And these three, you know, when a team takes 4 wickets, this wicket, 5 wickets, 6 wickets, seven are called very irritating wickets. You
Yeah.
want to get to the tail as soon as possible. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
when you have players like these holding the guard there, I think it's
And let's
phenomenal.
just
I
add
mean,
Pat Cummins into that list as well with the kind of innings he
exactly,
played in the last match. I think he's going to be in much more better confidence leading into this match,
exactly.
and he'll really feel as a captain. I want to lead my way with the ball and also with the bat, doing a bowling all rounder's job, and he's done that beautifully.
Oh, absolutely. And we saw what an all-rounder could do yesterday in the qualifiers when we
Yeah,
saw
oh, that was
Van
one good
Beek.
game.
So that is that. And yeah, I mean, as I was making the point that these three, and as you said, Pat Cummins into the mix as well. So England, they are facing, they are tasting their own medicine, as they say, because they have these irritating spots where filled with Wokes, Stokes, Ali. There was Curran and stuff who just don't
Yeah,
sort of. You
yeah,
think you're onto the tail, but you're not. So
yeah.
that's that.
Very interesting as well how Chris Wokes has really gone off the radar for a while now. I think it's predominantly to do with injury because otherwise he could bat, he could bowl, he could do some of the most
Yeah.
craziest catches on the field. He was an asset for this English team across
his
all
his his
conditions.
batting technique is one of the best. I just love his
Yeah,
bat
for
swing,
a
but
bowler, for a
somehow he
bowler,
just
absolutely.
somehow he just doesn't do it consistently and can't replicate his potential.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Remember, he scored 100 against India in Lords in
He did.
2018 with Bairstow. So that, India doesn't have good times, especially bowling against some of the tailenders, Sam Curran, Chris Wokes. They've always been India's biggest nemesis. But talking about which, we were talking about Stuart Broad as well. He's closing in on a milestone, 12 wickets away from 600 test wickets. Now, this is no joke. 600 test wickets for a bowler of this era. He's still 4 years younger than James Anderson, mind you. If Stuart Broad plays like James Anderson, there is no doubt this guy can breach a lot of records. He might just
Oh,
end up being the most. He might end up beating Murali Dharan's record for that matter. Remember,
absolutely.
Anderson did not have 586 wickets at the age of 35, so he is going at a faster click than Stuart Broad.
Yeah, I mean that is what.
James Anderson for that.
Yeah, that is what the longevity is what is it would be the question for the next 4 or 5 years. But other than that, I mean, Stuart Broad, James Anderson seems to take the plaudits every damn time, and it's maybe because he's older and he just does it at a more. I think as years have gone by in these last 4 or 5 years, Anderson has really blossomed. Even more when people thought that he would be regressing, but he did it even more. But so has Broad. But that is, he's been a shadow all the time. And some people may be saying that Anderson could hang up his boots after the Ashes. Then I think he'd be the guy who would actually lead them in proper ways and not in a shadow or
Yeah.
anything. So I don't know, man. What a phenomenal record for a fast bowler. Not many fast bowlers are up there. In the 500, 600 wicket mark. I think it's dominated by spinners,
Just
if I'm
one
not
bowler, which is James Anderson, and now it's going to be second one in Stuart Broad.
exactly.
And now put the cumulative wickets between them. It's closer to 1,100, 1,200 wickets.
Yeah, man. I mean that's that. There you go. I mean, what should I say? I think it's Anderson is close to 700, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, he's just 17, 18, 20, 12 away, 12 away.
So
12
seven
away.
six.
Both,
That's 1300.
both are 12 away. Both are like very, very close to getting those mark. And I
Hmm.
know it's not possible again in this test match, but definitely a possibility in this series. Maybe at the
Oh,
end of the
absolutely.
series, a 700 mark and a 600 mark for a bowler,
Hmm.
1,300 wickets between them. Man, you're talking about some class or some level of duo over here. Now they're going to be there for the history books, regardless of what happens in this test series. But if they're going to play this WTC cycle, then Mutaya Muralidharan's record is definitely under threat for sure.
Yeah. And I never thought that 800 figure could even be reached close to when Muralidharan got that 800th wicket. But there you go. Records are meant to be broken. So as a when I saw Ashwin when I was growing up, and I was seeing, I just had this aspiration about Ashwin, but well, he doesn't get a game for India, does he? So that's it. That is that.
Well, that's a very interesting thing with the squad selection of Indian team. People do not seem to understand what really is happening there even with selection. So that's something which we can't ponder. But at least with Ashes, we know what we are getting. They announced the squad teams earlier, so it's very easy for us to sit here and say, okay, these are the reasons why they left out players. At least it's a little bit of transparency. With Indian team, it's a hole too big for us to dig right now, and it's tough for us to get at the end of it as well. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining. That was about it from the second test match. We will join you guys very soon with the transfer news and with some Indian footballing action. Remember, India are taking on Kuwait right now in the SAF Football Championship, and also India are qualified to the semi-final. So by the time we are back, India will be playing semi-final or India will be qualified in the final. So all the best to the Blue Tigers. They are definitely getting up the ranks now. 97 almost at the end of the SAF. And remember, Sunil Chetri is scoring as fine as a wine. Can you stop him? Nobody can, I think, at this point in the stage. 100 goals is just 10 away. Let's see if he can reach it at the end of SAF or maybe come the AFC Championship in January. So keep support for the Indian football team. We'll show the same love for the Indian football team as we show for our cricket team. And also, we'll talk about sport. The transfer news, Saudi Pro League is erupting there once again. Some big moves. Ilkay Gundogan makes a move from City to Barcelona. Massive deal there. And of course, Onana's transfer as well with United, so which we'll be talking in detail as we come back in the weekend. Thank you, Antariksh. Have a good time. I had a good time talking to you, and have a good time after this as well. Let's enjoy this Ashes Test match. Hopefully, it's another nail biter, not a one-sided one. And let's see where the Test match goes.
Yes, man, for sure. Excited.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you haven't already checked out our courses, as we already got some questions as well, do check out our courses with Mad About Sports. The link is there in the description. And also, if you haven't already followed our page on Instagram, do follow it because that's where we give the latest sporting updates. And do share this video and like it so we can get out to more people and bring all the exciting content for you people. And if you are more interested in analytics, want to know the detailing of the game, we do shorter videos as well. So, do check that out. Have a good time, all of you. Bye-bye.